Hi class, Mrs. Calvi here. I'm going to go over a few terms that you are going to be using when we talk about our geometry unit. I have a few of them on the screen here. This is where you're going to want to copy these into your notes section of your binder because you're going to need to know these for any quizzes or tests that we may have. So our first one here is we have a point, and a point is an exact location. It is usually represented as a dot, but it has no size at all. So here, example, point A. They labeled it using a capital letter, and they labeled it point A. All right, the next is a line. A line is a straight path that has no thickness and extends forever in opposite directions. So if you notice our line here, there are arrows on both ends, and that is because they do extend forever. All right, so whenever we have a line, we have arrows on both ends. Whenever we are, in this case, they also labeled it with a variable, which is an L, and it says to use 2 points on the line or a lowercase letter to name the line. Typically, you do not see this lowercase letter here. You are typically going to see a line with 2 points that have variables associated to them. And remember, those letters or variables are always uppercase. Okay? And if we were naming a line, if you noticed here, they have line XY, and the symbol above it is the line with both arrows on each end. That's how you would label a line. All right. The next one, a plane is a flat surface that has no thickness and extends forever. So whenever we're talking about a plane, it is a flat surface. It is not three-dimensional. All right. And here it says plane QRS. It says use 3 points in any order, not on the same line, to name the plane. Okay. So any order. So they named it plane QRS. It could be named plane SRQ, etc. All right. So you might want to pause so you can copy this into your notes section of your binder. All right, 2 other terms that you're going to need to know. The next one is array, which is a part of a line. It has one endpoint and extends forever in one direction. So the difference between a line and array, remember the line previously had arrows on both ends, so both ends extended forever. Array, the line only extends in one direction. So in this case, it extends going to the right because the arrow is going to the right. All right. You would always name your array starting with your end point. My end point is where I do not have an arrow. It's just the point by itself. So you would name the end point first when naming the array. So this is called ray GH. And if you notice, the symbol for it is an arrow only going in one direction. Okay, so only in one direction here. So again, you want to name it with the end point. So I would start here with my G, and I would name it as ray GH. Okay. Now, looking at a line segment, that is a part of a line or array that extends from one endpoint to another. So here, if you notice, I don't have arrows on either end. It is an endpoint on both ends. So here, you can use the endpoints to name the line segment. It doesn't matter whether I'm naming it as line segment LM or ML, because those are both endpoints, so I can name them either way. And if you notice here, they have the symbol is just a line above without any arrows. Okay, so you're going to want to jot that down into your notes section of your binder so you have that as well. Okay, so here I have points, lines, and planes. And my first thing I want to do is I want to name 3 points. Well, you know, based on what we just learned, that a point is an exact location, and it usually is represented as a dot. So I can say that I can choose point A, point C, and point D. So A, C, and D, those are all points. Okay, pretty simple. Now let's see if we can identify lines. Okay, so now I want to identify 2 lines. So I can say line BD. Okay, so that could be one. So line BD, and the symbol for line, arrows on both ends right above it. Now I also can say line CE. Now many of you might say, well, the C's in the middle, but still this arrow does still extend, right? So I can say line CE with the symbol above it, arrows on both ends, all right? I can say, even though I labeled this as line BD, that could also be labeled as line DB instead of BD, but that is the same line. It just doesn't matter whether I name it as line DB or BD, would be the same line, okay? Now let's see if we can identify a plane. Okay, so now I want to name a plane, and if you remember, a plane is a flat surface. It has no thickness, and when we name a plane, we want to use 3 points in any order, but not all on the same line to name the plane, okay? So I don't want all 3 points to be on the same line. So for example, I would not say plane B, C, D, because those are all on the same line. I can, in fact, though, say plane A, B, C, because although B and C are on the same line, A is not. You just can't have all 3 on the same line, okay? So I would then write plane. There is no symbol for plane, so you just have to actually write the word A, B, C, okay? All right, so here I want to be able to identify 3 rays. And if you remember, when we identify a ray, we want to start with an endpoint and then continue through an arrow. So looking here, I can say ray RQ because this is my endpoint and I follow the ray through this way. So I can say ray RQ. And if you remember, the symbol is an arrow going in one direction. We always want to start by naming the ray with our endpoint, okay? So we can also say ray RT. So ray RT, starting with our endpoint, following through with the arrow. And then we can also have ray SQ. So ray SQ. Now I already know some of you are confused because you're thinking, well, this is a line because there is an arrow on this end. So you have to remember that with a ray, that when you name the endpoint first, a ray is a part of a line and it has one endpoint and extends forever in one direction. So a ray is a part of a line. This is a line, but it's going to extend forever in this direction if I'm starting with my endpoint S. Could be a little bit confusing, okay? So now let's see if we can identify line segments. So remember what we said about a line segment. A line segment is a part of a line or array that extends from one endpoint to another, okay? So here, looking at my diagram, I can say that I have line segment RQ, and I would write that as with just a line, okay? Because technically, these are 2 endpoints, all right? Another line segment is QS, because again, it is a line segment is a part of a line, but we are identifying the endpoints of them. So QS is another line segment. And then we can also say ST is a line segment. Okay, now this line segment is not part of a line. These RQ and QS are part of a line, right? So that is identifying line segments. All right, that is it for identifying terms for our geometry unit, and I will talk to you guys soon.